Hello. My name is Angelic Torres. I'm your favorite developer advocate here at Inworld AI, and this is our second episode of the Unity series. And we're talking about creating your own character, adding components, and the Unity package structure. Okay, so for the last video, we covered from installation to the demo character and talking to one of them. So in this video, I'm actually going to be showing you how to create your own character with Ready Player Me. We're talking about can we move the camera and not be static? We're talking about how to make the character from Inworld Studio be connected to Unity. How does all that make sense? Well, we have many questions and more. And with that, I'm actually going to be dividing the video in 3 parts. The first one is going to be about creating your character in Inworld Studio. The second is going to be about importing that character. And the last one about the overview of the Unity package structure. So let's get started. So I like to think of this process as a creative myself of very similar to a writer's or director's room, right? You need to ask yourself some questions in order to have your actor, aka your character, really understand who they are. So questions like, who are they? What are they like? What are their motivations, their flaws? What makes them act a specific way? What are their interests? All these questions are really gonna help your actors give the best performance that they can give, because they get to have all the answers. So let's just go to the place where it all happens. Let's just log back into Inworld.ai. Okay, so we're here in the workspace, right? And I actually have been working from a demo area, right? You can actually go at the top where it says workspace, click in there, create a new one if you wanted to, and it would just look empty. I'll recommend that as we continue moving along. I did, however, create my character in the demo area, so you're going to be seeing that through the video, so think that in mind. Okay, so back at it. We're going to create a new character. Create new character. Mine is going to be Galileo. And the core description. I will have to give the important information here that I won't be able to describe all the features that you can do for your character. For that, we have docs.inworld.ai, which is a wonderful resource. It really gives you the best practices, what really should go in each part if you're new to all this. I will, however, be making videos in the future, so keep that in mind. But for now, core description. Think about it, keeping up with the analogy of filmmaker, think about it like the biography of your character. Now we're talking about when were they born? What do they do since they're a kid? What makes them them? What is their profession? Everything that answers the question of who am I or who are they? This is also really important because no matter what, this is always going to be the area that they fall back to the most whenever they don't know what's happening, right? So if they're playing in a scene, this is where they're going to take most of their information. So don't be frugal. Don't just write 1 or 2 sentences. Really give it some context, you know? You need your actor to perform, right? I already have my core description and my character set up. So you click create, I'll click cancel. And go here, my character Galileo. And as you can see, my core description includes information like when was he born, he's a physicist, a polymath, an astronomer, etc., etc. Now, I want to create a 3D avatar of him. And as you can see, we're being greeted by Anakin. Hey, Anakin. And this is really nice because if you wanted Anakin to have the brain of Galileo, you can do that. I don't want to do that right now. I'm sorry. I want to use Ready Player Me. So I'll turn on this toggle. And you can configure your avatar. And it's really cool because you can go in there and really customize how it looks, from the skin color to what do they wear and everything. I have my beautiful Galileo rare set up. So I'm going to click save. And it also gives you the option to download the .glb file, which if you're working on something else, that might be interesting to you. Now, I also can go in there, and if I wanted to, I can add my avatar image. I'm going to change him so I have a better perspective of how he looks. It also gives you a picture or capture of the 3D avatar that you created. So, okay. Next part that we're going to think about is the scene. And again, cinematographers, filmmakers, creatives here, right? The scene is, the particular storyline that your character is going through at that specific moment. So let's say that Galileo is at the Leaning Tower. The Leaning Tower has many objects, right? First of all, he knows he's in Pizza. He knows that is a Leaning Tower, right? Is he at the top floor? Is there a feather? Is there a coin? Is there a ball? Like, what are the components that are really going to help him out with his experiment? What is his purpose there? What is he actually looking to accomplish in this case? So I ask myself these questions and more, but for that, I actually have to go to the left side where it says scenes in order to create my scene. So I click in here and I'm going to create a new scene. I have, I don't know, leaning experiment 2. This is a fail and try for the big day. Galileo has all of his equipment, has a this, then he has a ball, a coin, and a feather. Okay, there you go. And I'm gonna add character to my scene. You can add many of them. We're just gonna do Galileo for now. Save it and click save. Next part of the video. So for the next part of the video, we're actually just gonna go right into our Hello World project, and we're actually gonna be moving the character in. You might be thinking like, how does it know that all this is connected? I'm actually gonna go here into my Inworld Studio panel. If you don't have yours, you can go to the top, Inworld Studio panel, move it to the side next to the inspector. It's really good tools to have as we continue on. I'm gonna go back into Inworld Studio, character integrations. You know how this goes. Generate Studio Access Token, copy, paste. The Generate Studio Access Token is going to be the same whether you create a new workspace or not. It doesn't, think about it like the key to your account. Okay, I have many workspaces to work on. Mine is in demos. Remind yourself where the character's in. I only have one API key. And my scene is going to be the leaning experiment 2. Move next. And as you can see, I only have one character and your character there. So similar to how we did it before in the first video, you just double click. And as you can see, your prefab is already there. I mean, this thing is wonderful, isn't it? Okay. Now, you might be wondering, do I have to do the whole thing with the camera again? Not really. We actually have a really cool component, which is called PlayerController. And this is something that Inworld has developed for you. In this case, it does 3 cool things, right? You actually get to be the camera and the camera gets to be you. By that, I mean that you can do WASD as your keys in order to move forward, back, and side to side, and you get to navigate the world, right? The other cool thing is that the character would actually look at you. So if your character is here and you move here, it actually moves his head. I'm going to show you the effect. And then we also have, in order to do like voice recording or like a menu for like text messages to happen. But I need to add PlayerController to the scene. It's asking for permission to take over the main camera, and that is because you can only have one per scene in Unity. I'm gonna click OK. And I mean, all we have to do now is click play, isn't it? Hello.
How, traveler, what business dost thou have here?
I mean, I don't know. I wanted to see how your day was going. How about you try some experiments for us?
Actually so. Very well. I show you a small demonstration. Listen closely.
There you go. See, a scene is happening in our eyes. Now, another cool thing is that you can use the left side of your mouse, click on it, and you can change the perspective of the camera. And as you can see, I'm moving and Galileo is staring at me. Here you go. Thank you, Galileo. Bye. Okay. You might be wondering, why am I actually doing this step? Well, the step for me is really important because you actually want to use the resources that are there as you get to create your own projects, right? And you really need to understand how the SDK is structured in order to know where you're seeking the parts from. So first thing is first, right? It's divided into 2 main components. You have the assets, so anything from like materials, fonts, 3D models, like .fbx, etc., etc. And then you also have the packages, and the packages is everything like more like the scripts and like how it actually connects to the server, how it does the transmission and like a receiver of the audio and text and everything. Okay, now we're gonna start off. So if we go here to project, I actually can go on the first one, and the first one is all about like having all the folders are actually gonna have the assembly file, also the assembly definition file, by the way. And this is in order to help organize and keep them structured when compiling. Okay, so This is all the core functionality of Inworld. So if you want to ever tackle anything a lot more technical and go more in depth about the plugin in itself, this is where you look. We also have the assets as a folder, and this is, I mean, everything. This is from like the Anakin to like the Ready Player Me characters, right? I can go into like animation and I can show you what is happening. Another cool thing is that I like keeping my inspector window here, because when I get to click on like a C# file, or when I get to click on an animation or an emotion map, then I can actually see a preview of it and even play it. So if you see anything that is interesting to you, you know what to do. Animations, 3D, gestures, and I can see like, how does a confused animation look like? We give you 3 options here, okay? I can even play it. Okay. And I mean, keep navigating with here. We also have like 2D animations. We have like anything that has to do with facials from like an emotion map. We also have like the facial emotion data and like the lip sync. You can tell that I'm going to be covering the animation video next, so stay tuned for that. The next thing that we have is the Inworld.editor. And this is everything that has to do with the editor per se and how it integrates into that. Now, the one that I like is the Inworld.SDK, because this is about the native development kit and also about the acoustic echo cancellation. So if you're looking for a protocol switcher, you know where to look, which is this one right here. Okay, the next ones are actually pretty straightforward. The Inworld.samples.Anakin has everything to do with Anakin. So like, we're talking about material to like the scripts of how to do the facial animation, how to attach this to like a text to a specific gesture, to even like the sprites as a 2D like facial, right? Same thing is for the RPM, that means Ready Player Me. So the Inworld.samples.RPM has a similar structure to it. So for example, the prefabs usually have a chat for like that looks like a bubble that is actually allocated in here. And another cool thing that I can show you about the inspector window is that if you actually go into the character in itself, it's actually going to show you all the components, but if you click on the script, it's actually going to tell you where it's actually located, and you can click on it and actually review it and see what you find interesting or not, right? Playing around with the things you have. The last one that we have is the user data. And the user data, I think, is really important, because if you ever want to do something with multiplayer, or you as a player per se, you want to have more control with the experience that you have, well, user data does many things, right? It actually sets up the player. So it creates a new folder every time a new user interacts with Inworld Studio panel. So if I log in into my 2 different accounts, what has happened here, then I can have 2 different folders for myself. I can actually go in here and show you that this is where you edit your player name. And it even shows like the workspaces you've been in. It even has like the thumbnail, the username. It even has like the prefabs that I've downloaded, as well as like the game data. But that actually brings us to the end of our video, and I want to thank you so much for this, because this has been wonderful, and I'll see you for the next one. Thank you so much.